Hey guys, Saturday, June 28th of 2025. We're going to cover copper today. I've been getting requests on copper. I normally cover it on my Sunday market recap, but I guess we're going to dive in deeper. So without any further delay, let's get into it. So in order to understand copper, we need to first start with the macro. So what is the macro? Well, I'm going to let my AI host share what the macro is on copper.
The price of copper is rising due to a classic supply and demand squeeze. Global supply is severely constrained by major mine disruptions and dwindling stockpiles. Crucially, it takes nearly 2 decades to bring a new mine online, so quick relief isn't possible. Meanwhile, demand is exploding, driven by the green energy transition. Electric vehicles, solar panels, and wind turbines all require massive amounts of copper. Plus, a new wave of demand is coming from power-hungry AI and data centers. Factors like a weaker US dollar and market speculation are also pushing prices higher. The outlook remains strong but volatile. In essence, the essential metal needed to build our future is becoming harder to get, driving its price to new heights.
Okay, now that we got the macro under our belts, now let's look at what copper typically does on seasonality. Remember, this is not guaranteed. This is just kind of to give you, an idea. Not that it's going to play out exactly, but something that it has done in the past. So I like to use 5 years worth of data. And we're about to enter July. So far, using 5 years worth of data, July is pretty much flat at the 50%. And you can see that September and October are a little weaker. When you go across into 10 years, you start getting a picture. So June is a little stronger. July is above, so it's a little bullish, is above the 50%. But then something happens in August that it kind of dips for whatever reason. That's what the data is showing. And then it's kind of steady September, October, and then November, December, it gets stronger. Go 15 years, the data is indicating that August is a little weaker. And then September, flat, strong, but, compared to August. Then it kind of oscillates here, and then December stronger. It ends very strong in the year. Going all the way to 20 years worth of data, and this is percents of months in which copper closed higher than it opened from 2006 all the way to 2025. And you can see that June is pretty strong, and July is the strongest. February looks like it's the strongest here, but then comes in July. So looking at prices currently right now, it looks like it wants to push higher. And then August comes. So remember, July strong, August weak. And this may play out, it may not play out. This is just something that we look at in regards to seasonality to see if there's any patterns that we could recognize or things that may play out in the future. And then, September, and then a slightly rise into December. So this is the Commitments of Traders report on copper, and I want to see what the players and large speculators and commercial are positioning themselves in regards to putting their money to work. Some like to hedge, and some like to speculate. So let's see what commercial is doing first. Commercial, as of right now, it looks like there are hedging if copper prices are going higher. So they like to go opposite, from my understanding. So I want to see if they could take out this minus 34,530 position. If they do, chances are copper might continue going higher. And the next level you want to watch is the October level position, which is minus 52,304. So if they hedge or they short and prices continue higher, you want to take this one out and you want to take this one out. The lowest they've been is minus 69,000. Now that we got that out of the way, let's look at large speculators. So large speculators have been in a grind since April, and now in the last report of Commitments of Traders report, they bumped up. So they are accumulating their long. So I want to see if they could take out 34,000. And if they do, in regards to position, speculating that it's going to go higher, copper, I would like to see them take out 43,000. The two areas in regards to position that you want to keep an eye on. So you'll have to be monitoring the Commitments of Traders report. If they fail here and stall and then it turns down, then chances are, copper could be turning. All remembering that July is strong and then for some reason August is weak. So remember, it could be setting up for a bear trap, a bull trap, sorry, and then pull the rug under on August. So that's something you just got to be aware of. We don't know if this is going to play out. It could ignore it and continue chugging along and surprise everyone and be very bullish in August, July and August. But this is what typically, not guaranteed, copper does. So as long as you're aware of that and manage your risk, I think you got a good start to decide what you want to do if you want to trade copper or stocks. But being aware that August is weak is very important, because if you see an explosion to the upside and then a bear kicker candle down and it's going into August, there could be a high probability that this is playing out. Some of you may ask, well, let's see what retail is doing. Retail, it's kind of was bearish all the way to April, kind of grinded higher to like June 16, and now they are unloading or covering. But still with a kind of slightly biased bullish price, not price action, but positioning. But they unloaded here. So retail kind of unloading a little bit. Large speculators kind of a little biased bullish. But remember these two key points here, or two levels in regards to position. But they kind of have a slight edge to more upward price action. And then commercial are slowly hedging, but you want to keep an eye on here. They could take that out, and if they do take this out, minus 34,000, your next level to watch in regards to position they want to take out will be, or at least get to minus 52,000. So if all that's all playing and coppers are pushing higher, that's a good indicator that maybe July could be very strong, very bullish, but just keep an eye out for August if there's any signs of weakness there in regards to seasonality. In regards to the Elliott wave theory, very interesting. We made a wave 5, according to this count, around March the 26th. Got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now it's at a 1, 2, 3, and if there's a pullback, according to the system, there's a projection wave 4 target of 496 or 489. But remember, it may not do a wave 4 and continue pushing on a wave 3 like platinum. That in my platinum video, if you watch that, I was expecting a pullback into a wave 4 and it never did materialize. It's still continuing to push higher. So there's a possibility that it may not pull back. I was expecting a pullback so I could get in and buy some platinum stocks, but that never played out. So, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna follow it or jump in right now. I'm just watching it. But in copper, there's a wave 3 projection of $5.29, and even an alternative second wave 3, which is $5.71. There's a wave 5 ending up here. So If it hits or at least 529 and then goes into a wave 4, there's a wave 5 up here around 579. So that's a wave 5 projection target, and there's nothing else above that. The Stokes are interesting. They start getting very overbought here. You can see that then when this indicator kicks in, it's telling me that just be cautious. Maybe wait for a pullback if you want to get in. And so far that played out right here. And then it goes up again, and somewhere around here, you can see that it started warning you here, and it kept pushing higher. And somewhere in between right here, you can see the Stokes gave you the signal that it sold off. But then now it's back, and I remember that it was creating a triangular pattern here, and then eventually now is trying to break above. And keep in mind, these are closes that I have. I don't have the actual futures. As of right now, it's around 505, the close. On the, I guess on the 26th or 27th, whatever Friday was. And now we're entering into the same thing that we enter here. Sometimes it comes in early, and then you get this pullback, and that could be like our wave 4, which is kind of this. But then you get this. So if we get this wave 4 here and it pushes higher, then I'm expecting a wave 5 somewhere around here. Then you got to think about yourself. You got to think, okay, now we're entering August. Is this the ultimate bull trap on copper? And then get everybody in August and pull the rug. So that's something you have to just kind of think outside the box and see in conjunction with the macro that you heard about copper. So now let's look at the charts and see what the charts are telling us. Okay, so if you've been following my channel, this is my system that I use just to analyze anything, stocks, instruments, and I call this the market profile. And so far, prices are above all the value area highs. So it is chucking along. As you can see, the high is $5.37 that we made on the week of March. And then we kind of pull back. And now we're trying to push higher. So it's all above the value area highs. If we look at the daily, this is a key level you want to watch. Just 493. So far we got this nice breakout to the upside, and using 3 months worth of data. What was the high? This is 515, so very close to this high here, 516. So far that's all looking good. So path of least resistance, just by looking at this chart, is to the upside. Here's another chart that I use just to kind of, with some moving averages. This is the weekly. So far that's looking good. This is looking good on the daily. On the 90 minutes looking good. On the 15 is looking good. And on the 5 minutes looking good. So on these specific moving averages, so far everything looks good on copper. Now let's go back into our simple glance chart. So MACDs are all positive. You can tell there was chop fest here. And I remember that. So far, all MACDs on all 3 timeframes are positive. Sentiment is positive on the weekly and the daily. Looks like on the monthly is bottoming out. So there are pivots you want to keep an eye on. 520 and obviously 537. That's where we kissed our linear regression channel. If you've been following my channel, this is where I kind of say, yeah, if you're long from here or from anywhere from here, this is where you want to probably take some off the table, knowing that August is coming. So just be careful. But so far on the monthly, it's above the Kumo cloud. You're above all the moving averages, 20, 50, 100, and 200. And you got a PPS buy signal that kicked in on February of this year. You can see this massive spike. So it's very volatile. Look at that, guys. Look how ugly this got. And then the bulls showed up and defended it and pushed it higher. above the MOBO. So keep an eye on those pivots there. 503, also 520. Everything looks good on the monthly. On the weekly, I mean, look at this move. That will scare all the kids. And look where it found support, right at the linear regression channel. So this is where I, as a bottom feeder, would have bought it if it would have came down here as a speculation and then put a stop and see what happens. And look at that. Got above the cloud, above the 20, the 50, the 100, found support at the 200 in conjunction with the linear regression channel. And then you can see that on the weekly, it was just chop fest. Now, I remember talking about chop fest on the market recap on Sundays. You could have put a triangle pattern here, and then eventually it started breaking out on June. Well, you got a PPS buy signal on May 19th. It pulled back, typical pullback by the dip with this indicator, and then look at everything that played out. Now, what's interesting is that we have a TD13 candle that kicked in. Tom DeMark had two numbers. He had the 9th and the 13th that he always watched. You can see there's a 9th here, but it's a different system. And then on the next candle, we got this ugly, but we got the 13th here. So keep an eye on that for next week. But so far, everything looks good to the upside. Your linear regression is pointing up. Above the cloud, the future looks pretty good. Looking at the daily, you still got some leg room. They pulled back and they bought it on Friday. And the MACD looks good. Above the cloud, the future and the cloud looks good. Linear regression channels are pointing up. So yeah, so any dip could be a buying opportunity. As long as it holds, these key levels and the moving averages. Especially this pivot 506 right here. Let's go into our geometry side of this trade. Let's see, what is this, the week? This is the monthly. So what do I have here? We got trend line. So I got a trend line going, and this is a monthly from February of 2011. Hissing here, and we're bunting heads right there. So keep that as an alert that there is a trend line, and traders are watching this to see if it could break above there. That's one thing, and then everything else, all these trend lines will be supported if it ever comes down. This is the monthly chart going all the way back to 2004. Let's see the next here. Channel. We're in a nice channel. So if this were to continue pushing higher, it almost kissed the quadrant here. For July, your quadrant would be somewhere around 542. And even in July, 581. Staying with this channel. And it could fluctuate. I could pivot here. I could pivot here. I figure I'd pivot here, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a ballpark. It's going to be this area you want to be careful and trail your stops. And some extensions from this impulse wave, you can see that we just hit the 100%. I could have done it from here, but I figure I'd do it from something more established, a bigger wave. You can see that we just hit the 100% of 533, and the high was 537. So this is 100%. So if we were to speculate, I'm not using no Gann square here. I'm not using the Gann grid. I'm using traditional ways of calculating this market from impulse waves from the past. And you can see, or measured moves, you can see that the 125% is $6.17. Your midpoint would be $7, so forth, $7.87 all the way to $8.72. I mean, this is extreme prices if it was to continue going higher. So those are your big picture targets. If we go into the yearly, I just wanted to show you what this looks like using a yearly chart of maximum data. So this is 2003. You can see that we went up, came down, went all the way up. And 2011, we made a high. We pulled back and all the way to 2016, we made a low. So this was a bear campaign. And now from 2016, you can see that it got really volatile. It never took out this low. So this would have been a nice buying opportunity. You can even like set alerts on the yearly chart. If it gets down there just as a risk trade and be like, all right, it's either going to go up from here or it's going to, go down here. So that's some, there's an idea of speculating and trading on the yearly chart. However, I digress. You can see that it's been trending higher and now we're pushing to highs. So we're entering price discovery, which is 537. So far is looking good. Path of least resistance is to the upside. Let's end it with our midpoint chart. As you can see, last year's high was 519, and we made a high of 515 this week in conjunction with the TD13 candle. Mobiles are good. So far it's looking good. Just got to be worried or at least cautious about August now that we have that data. Waves on the daily is looking good. We just hit our monthly extended pivot of 509 TPS buy signals, so everything looks good. I mean, extreme targets could be 537 to 526. So far, the Stokes are looking good. Waves are looking good on the daily using the monthly pivots. And the weekly, very overextended, overbought. And you can see that the change of contract, which is the HGU, got even more bullish. And then it kind of stalled here in the overnight. They spiked it down and they bought it in the US session. And the 4 hour is interesting because the 4 hour pulled corrected. You see the waves are getting weaker. So the momentum is kind of slowing down. Stokes are kind of unwinding. This is what I call a snapback. So these are, you could say points in time where things get so oversold in regards to the time frame that you're using. And I like the 4 hour. There could be a high probability that it snapped back, and this is very overextended. And so far it played out. So that would have been a place to, be risky. Be like, all right, it's either going to snap back or I get stopped out. And so far in the 4 hour, it played out well. As long as you can stay, above 496 for next week's trading, I think you're going to be good. You're going to find support there. If it gets there below, then it's probably going to test some lows here. Yep, 525 all the way to 534, extreme targets to the upside. And then obviously the hourly, which would be for the US session, if we could stay above 508. As you can see in the 4 hour, you got this snapback. So watching the 4 hour giving you that possible snapback right here, this is where you would have gone in. You had to wait at least, well, in my style of trading, the hourly, you had to wait all this. And then once you see this, go for it and put a stop here and see how it plays out. In conjunction with the waves and the Mobos and the Stokes, give you all this right here. So hopefully you like this video, but those are my thoughts on copper. It's going to be interesting. Just keep an eye out for August. And if it continues pushing higher, you already know the macro. And you can see that, platinum is bullish. Gold is I'm expecting a correction on gold. I don't know if it's going to be deep, but I think there's going to be a pullback. I have to look at silver. But the metals are kind of on fire. Palladium is kind of having a slow start. Platinum is doing good. Silver's pushing at that 36 level. Gold is still hovering around that 33 and change. And it looks like copper may want to, get in the action. So hopefully this gives you enough information to decide and then, make a list of stocks. that you may want to be interested if you don't want to trade futures. I'm probably going to look at, make a little list of stocks and call it my copper 2025 play and see if there's anything interesting there that I could just purchase and, get a little piece of the pie. But I'm going to sign out. Hope you like this video, and I'll keep you posted on my thoughts on copper.